Hello, I'm Karen Klein. I'm a startup investor at Bloomberg Beta focused on the future of work. And welcome to Executive Intelligence. It's a series we're putting together to demystify AI with practical tips from leaders who've done it. And the thought is that AI is everywhere. Every company is an AI company. And in my business, 41% of US venture dollars are going to AI. So we want to make it more accessible and help business leaders really figure out how to use it. And I'm so delighted to have Erin Grau joining us today. She is the co-founder and chief operating officer of Charter, and they are a future work media company. Many would say they're the next generation HBR or Harvard Business Review, because it's, for me personally, a daily read. For leaders who want to understand how work is getting transformed, and in particular by AI, you really got to read it. And Erin has a great background. Erin, you've worked as the VP of People and Culture at Away, and you led transformation at the New York Times. So I'm excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I always love talking to you. So.
Well, it's my pleasure. And in particular, I thought one of the things we could start out talking about today would be, how do you use AI in your life? Like, the thought is a lot of companies won't yet let their employees use AI necessarily, or it's early days of figuring it out. And so a good way to do that potentially is in your personal life. So
yeah, I think that's so true. Yeah, I think what's holding a lot of companies back from adopting is that there are so many executives who are not engaging with AI and not experimenting themselves. So I absolutely agree. So I like most people started text to text, and I still do that. That's like what I use ChatGPT for a lot. Whereas I put a text prompt and get text back. But I did this course through Women Defining AI, which helped me experiment with so many things. And so I've actually done so many fun things that I love talking about. So I created a song for my daughters, Matilda and Frankie, using Suno.ai. And we call our kids our sun and our moon. And so I put the prompt, create a song for Matilda and Frankie, call them our sun and the moon in the style of Taylor Swift. And they like lost their minds. It was like, it's so fun. I use ChatGPT a lot for my kids. I do a scavenger hunt in our house for Easter. And so I had it create, it used to take me so much time, and I was really thoughtful about where it's going to go. And so, and I rhyme, everything is a rhyme. And so I had ChatGPT do that in 30 seconds, which saved me a ton of time.
So what is that, Erin, like walk us through, how do you get ChatGPT to even create the Easter egg hunt? Like, what would the prompt be? How would that work?
So I say, create a scavenger hunt for my children, make it rhyme, 4 lines for each clue. And the 4 locations are in the dishwasher, behind the chair, in the bathtub, and under the bed. So that's how I did it. But these prompting takes work. This is part of the experimentation, is that it takes work to figure out what works for you and what gets the result that you want. So, I also use it. There's a woman who is the head of inclusion for Google. Her name is Stephanie LeBlanc-Godfrey. She started a company called Mother AI, and she does a lot around parenting. So I've learned a lot from her. Like, I actually, my daughter is in 5th grade and the younger one is in 3rd grade. And I use ChatGPT to create exams like vocab tests for them when they're studying for tests. So, which saves me time, and also I think is probably a better product because I am not.
And how would you create a test? Seriously, it'd be helpful for us to understand.
Yeah. So I have to give it information about my daughter. So my daughter's in 4th grade. These are the vocab words. Create a mock exam, and then create a key. And so then I get that, and then she sees it. I actually just give her the computer, and she looks at it, and she writes out which word would go into which sentence. And they do a couple of different, because I'm telling it about the way that, she tests at school and the grade she's in. It's a little bit more creative actually than what I would do, which is like saying, fill in the blank out loud. Like, that's not really that interesting to her. And she gets that already through her homework. But so this is like something that's new and different and really like challenging her and creative. So, and she likes it. She like loves engaging with ChatGPT too.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And since Charter is such a thought leader, and you and Kevin are so good about thinking about the future of work in particular, I'd love to hear, what are a few easy ways for business leaders to start using this technology?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are so many great use cases. I think the challenge is there are like three buckets of people we talk to. One are people who are like really enthusiastic and using the tools. And then kind of in the middle, people are like, I'm a little bit engaged, or they say things like, oh, I use ChatGPT, and it's like to create LinkedIn posts, which is great, but there's so much more, and these tools are so much more powerful. And then there's a third bucket of people who you kind of identified at the top, which are like hesitant and are not using the tool. And so I would say on like one extreme, the one we're actually just reporting on now, Coursera has been using ChatGPT in their strategic planning process. And literally they have breakouts around the strategy with other employees, and ChatGPT is in the room. And they also use ChatGPT to put in things like research reports around their market and opportunity, and then their strategy to help, and ask about contradictions and considerations. And that's a really clever use case, I think.
So they're using ChatGPT to kind of interrogate their assumptions and find the gaps?
Yeah, exactly. Like they're looking for things that are reinforcing their strategy. They're looking at parts of reports that are contrary to the strategy. And so that's a really interesting use case that again, it's new to me. We're just reporting on it now. So, so that's exciting. I mean, we did a training with a large live events company, and one of the use cases the comms leader gave us is junior employees are writing press releases. And they were asking us how we might use the tool, and we were asking them like, what are things that are really time consuming or challenging? And they gave us this example of a junior employee who is born in the late 90s that had to write one line in a press release about an early 90s performer and the influence they had on other musicians. So which musicians were influenced by this musician. And so if it was like Taylor Swift, I would know like these are the people. But you can Google it, but you can also use like Perplexity is great for research. And I know, Karen, we've talked about this, and it's a tool that you really like too. And so that's a tool where you can go and prompt them, who are the musicians that are influenced by, say, Bruce Springsteen, and it'll come up with some really smart research. And so that's really helpful. And so there are a lot of different tools. And again, that's like the other extreme of a use case, from the Coursera to the, what is, some research that a junior employee needs to do for a press release. But so I like those examples. And then personally, there's just so much. The Women Defining AI co-founders wrote a piece for us and for Time that were about use cases that every leader could be using. I use a lot of them too, like, using AI or ChatGPT, particularly the paid version. Actually, I think of ChatGPT is really good. I use Claude for writing, actually. So if you're editing or writing, I think Claude is really good. Also, Karen, I know you and I connected on that too.
I was going to say, I feel like Claude is like a superpower when it comes to, and just to be, Claude.ai is where you find it, and Perplexity.ai is where you find Perplexity, which can help you with your research as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think in my work, I love AI as an editor. And so again, I think like level one is I'm writing either write a first draft or edit my LinkedIn post. And that's great. Like you should definitely start with that. But I have to do a lot of presentations. And so you can have ChatGPT help shorten your presentations, make them tighter, make them more focused for certain audiences. And one way I do that, so you don't have to write a whole script out, you can record yourself. Either I do audio memos on my phone, or you can on Zoom, you can record yourself giving a presentation and then take the transcript and upload the transcript. So like, I love that use case.
And then you just to give a bit more context, so you upload the transcript, and then what do you put as your prompt engineering around describing for
it depends on
ChatGPT or whatever LLM, what you need it to do?
Yeah, it depends on what I'm trying to do. So I might say I'm meeting with for example, we meet with a lot of comms leaders or HR leaders. And so we have some similar presentations around AI, as you can imagine. And so I might, prompt it around the group of people I'm meeting with. So make it more relevant to them. I might need it shorter, tighter. I'm a verbal processor. So I sometimes talk a lot around, like this. And then but I want it to be more condensed and tighter. And so how can I make things shorter and to the point is another example. I think also the other great, I think use case is as a perspective taker. So you can get feedback on a product or a presentation or, even a LinkedIn post from multiple perspectives and find blind spots. And so that to me feels like really relevant and interesting.
And how would you do that? So you'd set up, I am senior executive at a Fortune 500 company. What do I think of this product?
Yeah. So I because I can do one-off prompts. So I'll give you the one-off prompts, but also just to say, this is an example in my work where I'm writing things for HR leaders all the time. So I actually have prompts, either prompts that I lean on again, or create a GPT around something like a LinkedIn post, so that I'm not giving it information every time. It has all the information and what I want, like the tone I want, the audience I'm trying to engage. So, but I think the prompts for this, in particular, the perspective taker is, I would give it context on the project that I'm working on, and then the persona I'm looking for. So I need, and then asking it to reflect on the needs of this person, the expectations of this person, assumptions this person might have, like risks this person might be wary of.
What kind of feedback do you get when you say reflect on the needs of this person?
Well, I ask a lot about CFOs in my work, because we do a lot of work for CHROs, but CFOs and CHROs work really closely together, and CEOs. And so the funniest pushback or, perspectives I get are really when I try to get feedback from CFOs, the CFO persona, around some of the programs around people. So as you can imagine, the feedback a CFO might give on a people program or initiative versus an HR leader.
Oh, that's great. So you get it for different lenses of evaluating something you're working on. I love that.
Yeah. And I also do it. I actually use that for, I have different personas that I love. I follow Dr. Becky, the child psychologist, and I follow Brene Brown really closely. And so when I'm trying to get, prepare a conversation I did recently about friends with my 10-year-old, my daughter's friends are kind of they're in 5th grade, and they're starting to have, struggles with other friend groups and with each other. And I want to give her good advice. And so I actually used ChatGPT, and I tried to ask it in these personas of women that I trust, like harnessing all that it knows about the advice that these 2 women would give me to get advice to give to my daughter. And then I actually love the ChatGPT app. And so if you use like the microphone icon at the bottom, and so then I start having a conversation with myself, which is in the style of a Dr. Becky.
Totally the future of work. I love this. It's like you're getting coaching from multiple voices that you respect, and it's all available to us, just given, there's so much content that these algorithms have been trained on. Erin, this is so helpful. You're really such a delight. I really appreciate you making the time to share everything from how to think about creating songs for our families and even roasting people, to also, budget planning and using these algorithms for that. So everyone should sign up at charterworks.com for this daily read that's I find invaluable, and Erin is the producer of, and more to come on executive intelligence. Thanks for joining us, Erin.
Thanks, Karen.